Hello, my name is Trevor Dick, AICP. I've been asked by the APA to provide an overview of what I feel would be the key points to be familiar with when facing questions on the AICP exam under the leadership category. I am part of the team that has been providing AICP exam training throughout the country for years. In this section, we call Section 7 in our full-day training course. Our team, which is listed on this first slide, is part of planningprep.com, a free online resource that has helped thousands of planners throughout the world prepare for the AICP examination. I have over 25 years worth of public and private sector planning experience. I am the Assistant Director in the Mayor's Office of Economic Development for the City of Aurora, the second largest city in Illinois. Up until 2021, I was the state's Professional Development Officer for nearly 7 years. At the end of my tenure as the chapter's PDO, I was fortunate to have received the Leadership Award for a PDO from the Chapter President's Council as part of the 2021 Lynn Jorgensen Award. The format for this presentation follows the AICP exam outline provided by the APA. I will highlight important topics under each of the sections and subsections listed by the APA. I do want to say that I have no formal affiliation with the APA, meaning I do not know what the actual questions will be on the examination. I am solely basing my pointers and techniques on my experience and knowledge over several decades of planning I have gained over my years by taking the examination a number of times, and as well from discussions with planners from throughout the country. Okay, let's jump into this section. Questions on the exam will likely test your leadership skills, including a combination of techniques, knowledge, and even how you would lead in different situations. The first subsection is to understand leadership in support of plan making, participation, recognition of needs, and commitment to action. Open information is critical to completing a successful planning process. As a leader, it is your responsibility to make sure that accurate information is accessible to your internal team, that could be your staff or your council, as well as the external world, such as the public. It's important to maintain strong alliances and partnerships. You should identify who your partners are and if there are others that you need to create a connection. Two extremely important words as a planner are advocacy and diversity. Under this leadership section, those two words form a foundation through multiple subsections of this PowerPoint and provide a foundation going forward for strong planning. Those interests and groups vary in size and scope depending on the particular location and project. Next, let's talk about ethical aspects of advocacy. Advocacy is one of the leader's most important responsibilities. Advocacy can be defined as what you do when you are actively supporting a cause. As a planner, some simple steps to follow when achieving results through advocacy include identifying priorities, crafting a strategy, taking action, and lastly, achieving results. Ask yourself as a planner, what roles do we as leaders play in advocacy? Some roles could include always listening and learning, focusing on long-term goals, valuing support from others, openness to different ways to share your message, a commitment to partner with different and like-minded individuals, an ability to look at and respond to positions and issues, a tenacity to bounce back from negative responses, and engage the public and stakeholders. As a leader, you are accountable to the profession, our ethical principles, and of course, the general public interest. Although the AICP Code of Ethics is covered more in a separate section of our exam prep, I still thought it would be useful to briefly mention the ethical principles that are actually separate from the code here in this leadership section. Ethical principles derive both from the general values of society and from the planner's special responsibility to serve the public interest. As the basic values of society are often in competition with each other, so do these principles sometimes compete. The planning process must continuously pursue and faithfully serve the public interest. The ethical principles in planning are a guide to ethical conduct for all those who participate in the process of planning as advisors, advocates, and decision makers. They were adopted in 1992 by the APA board, and like I said, they are a guide and not a code by which individuals may be held accountable. According to the APA, there are 3 principal statements dealing with ethical principles. The first is that the planning process must continuously pursue and faithfully serve the public interest. Second, the planning process participants continuously strive to achieve high standards of integrity and proficiency so that public respect for the process will be maintained. And third, APA members who are practicing planners continuously pursue improvement in their planning competence, as well as in the development of peers and aspiring planners. In the actual code itself, there is also a reference to the public interest that I wanted to highlight. Under Section A, subsection 4, people who participate in the planning process shall safeguard the public trust. And then bullet number 4, planners shall serve as advocates for the public or private sector only when the client's objectives are legal and consistent with the public interest. This next section highlights the different institutional structures to be familiar with. Accountability is an acceptance of responsibility for honest and ethical conduct towards others. It implies a willingness to be judged on performance. In an article by Inc. magazine, they offer some key words about leadership that I wanted to share. Leadership defines culture, and if you want to create a culture of accountability, then it starts with you. You need to model the behaviors that you want to see in your office. If you want people to take ownership, then you have to be seen to take ownership yourself. And when you make commitments, you have to be seen to meet those commitments as well. Transparency can be described as an honest, two-way openness between employees and management. When transparency is part of workplace culture, it comes along with trust, communication, and greater levels of employee engagement and advocacy. Without transparency, employees may feel underappreciated, apprehensive about the future of their employment, and even doubtful about the management practices. In your planning office, define roles and responsibilities clearly and effectively. Every role has key responsibilities that fit with that position. It's important to understand the meaning of the terms when considering the importance of roles and responsibilities. Clearly defining roles and responsibilities can help your organization in more ways than one, from boosting operational efficiency to improving your hiring process. Next, I'd like to discuss a planner's comprehensive approach to complex problem solving and decision making. I think one of the most unique skill sets that we as planners possess is our ability to think about connections, impacts, and comprehensiveness. In planning, the term comprehensive can be defined as an all-inclusive approach to addressing the issue of a community's future growth. As planners, we must be aware of how our recommendations and decisions are connected and interrelated. One decision that is focused on solving one issue may likely impact, potentially positively or negatively, many other geographic areas or sectors, such as the economy, quality of life, transportation, etc. Oftentimes, because of our skill set, we have the ability to help the community prioritize. Because planners must be aware of all the issues and opportunities on a particular project or community plan, we are often in the best position to help a community do that prioritization. Planners are often tasked with prioritizing current issues, future goals, or even future community development projects. Next, I'd like to cover the ethics of equity, diversity, and inclusivity in the planning profession. A leader can ensure that their plan recommendations or that their planning office is being equitable, diverse, and inclusive by asking for feedback. Feedback could be from your staff, other departments, or the public. It's important to set clear expectations for those that you lead. Clarify your thoughts so you can set clear expectations. If you don't, you may waste a lot of time, energy, and money. To set and explain clear expectations, it's very important to understand your audience. Planning is strongest when diverse perspectives and voices are shared and heard. As a leader, you must take out and collect input and ideas from the public, especially from segments of the population that have been underrepresented or difficult to reach. The inclusion of multiple perspectives with diverse backgrounds lends to the creation of recommendations that more directly reflect the entire community. The next section highlights the importance that APA puts on being either a coach or a mentor. Be a positive role model. By serving in a mentoring role in the field of planning, you are furthering our professional development and helping to shape the future of planning. A mentor can help a mentee by providing knowledgeable and strategic advice. As a leader, serve as a mentor in the workplace or in a professional organization such as the APA or even your local chapter. The APA has established a mentoring program. The goal of that program is to develop the next generation of planning professionals by preparing experienced individuals with those who want to learn more about their chosen profession of planning. APA believes that supporting healthy relationships between mentors and mentees provides immediate and long-term benefits for the individuals and profession. The next section covers how planners as leaders should always be discerning and promoting the public interest related to proposed action. An excellent resource for this leadership section is PAS report number 582 called Local Planning Agency Management. In one section of that report, it discusses in great detail how that planning is a very political exercise. Most planners try to stay out of partisan and elected politics with varying degrees of success. However, to be effective, they need to acknowledge that local governments are indeed political environments. The PS report continues to say that serving the public interest means being aware of all the steps needed to get plans implemented, some of which are political. The exam may test your knowledge of our professional development expectations, our standards, and how we can share our opportunities and experiences with others. After you become AICP, you'll be required to meet the certification maintenance requirements. Each AICP member is provided a reporting period upon becoming AICP. And every 2 years, you must complete the requirements of the reporting period. You must earn a total of 32 CM credits. One contact hour equals 1 CM credit within that 2-year reporting period. Another expectation is that you, as a certified planner, will assist with professional development. Planners should be willing to share their experience, especially the lessons learned. Submitting to speak at conferences or online training opportunities is an excellent example of ways to share your experience. In addition to sharing your expectations and lessons learned, another expectation is you promote the value of good planning. As an AICP member, you should promote the value of planning to others, including students, coworkers, decision makers, and the public. I've included a few examples of the benefits of planning on the slide, but some good advice would be to have a couple of these in your mind in case you're ever asked to promote the planning values. Another expectation is that you seek out opportunities to promote planning and to volunteer. Seek out ways to promote and volunteer in professional planning organizations. Possible options include reaching out to your local chapter and asking about available opportunities. Volunteer planning-related services to the community. Also, work with the community to promote planning. Some ideas include promoting October as National Community Planning Month, calling an attention to planning in your community by holding a neighborhood tour, creating a reading list of important books about planning, and then participate in a career day and inspire future students to become future planners. In conclusion, the overarching theme of this section is to ensure that you as a planner are seen as a leader, no matter what your specific job title, and as such, you should be mindful of the important traits, characteristics, and ethics of being a leader. Lastly, from the recommended reading list, here are the reports and books that I would recommend to help you understand the leadership leadership section. Thank you very much for listening and good luck on the examination.